Well, guys, your girl finally made it to Midgar.
Yeah, so...
You got this, Yuffie. My name is Yuffie, Materia Hunter and Elite Special Forces operative for the new Wutai government. I have orders to infiltrate Shinra headquarters and steal their ultimate materia. To prove to our common enemy that Wutai is not to be trifled with. Members of Avalanche! Your full support! We got this! So, members of Avalanche? Where are you? Come get me already! Okay, if I was a man in a Moogle hat... Huh? Wait, does this mean what I think it does? Interesting. So, I gotta come to you, do I? You got some nerve.
Alright. Wow. So just watching this again, I'm like just noting how great of an intro this was to the whole story. So one, it introduces the character of Yuffie. It kind of expresses like, you know, she's like a goofy teenager, but she's also like pretty confident, but it's also like she still doesn't know what she's doing because she's still clumsy and stuff. So it's like this duality of her character. She's spunky, she's energetic, she's confident. She's even like got some capabilities because she's able to catch herself when she's falling. But she's also still pretty klutzy and clumsy and goofy and I don't know, still like ultimately like a kid. And like it's meant to set the tone that this is supposed to be a more like, you know, contrast with the, you know, to contrast with the main story. Like Cloud is supposed to be really cool, but like in this story this is supposed to be a little more lighthearted, and that Yuffie's a little more goofy. Another thing that happens is that with the opening here is that Yuffie's at this really high ledge, and like she announces that she's just arrived at Midgar, so it lets you know that she went on a long journey to get to Midgar. So there's a whole story that happened before she got here. And so that does that one thing by being her up there, by setting her up there. Another thing that happens by her falling from up there is that, you know, if you were to like turn around and try to go back, you can't go back the way you came. You are like on this path where you can only go forward, and it sets up why you're stuck, you know, facing one direction, and you're only able to go down this narrow corridor. You can't go back the way you came, and you're stuck this way. So it's setting up the fact that you're where you're going. Then the last thing this intro does is set up your next goals for what you're doing as a player. You know, she goes up to this sign, she's looking for Avalanche, she's like, hey, this will lead me to Avalanche. This is how I find them. So you know what you're supposed to do. You know your goals as a player. As soon as you're off from the get-go, you know who you are and you know where you're going. So yeah, does all that in like maybe like 2 minutes or something like that. And also does it with a really fun cutscene where there's humor, there's action, there's good animation, there's like some contact juggling, you know, like with juggling spears and stuff like that, and characterization. Yeah, and yeah, it does all that and probably even more things that I can't think of right now. But yeah, really great intro. Yeah, and also sends a different tone shift from the previous main story that you might